just get back to the testing feedback, and just mention again, the app was designed for Chris's phone and not a laptop, and it does appear that the testing was done on a laptop, Apple. I had a session with Vainant some time ago where I sat next to him with my laptop and he was on his iPad and the script wouldn't work, and that, as I said, might give a reason for this back button that didn't work. I also understand that there might be quite a bit of frustrating exercise involved in figuring out how this works. Just to look at the what was done here with the testing, we had some testing on Wednesday when Chris logged in, and those were aborted, and I at the first screen where there was supposed to be a selection of a material, that was filtered and there was no material for the specific supplier configured as I showed in the other screen on the other video. Yesterday's testing, I only see the one that has been completed right through the wizard from A to Z, and it's this one. The others have all been aborted at a certain point. But now where the frustration or figuring out how this works and where it can get confusing is that we now have a material linked to a supplier, and in this case it's sand. Now this is a GL code, so we have the material, the GL code, the project, and the dashboard item is boundary other. However, there's another GL code that is for sand. Now one would argue that it would be nice to filter the sand in and have only boundary sand to come up. But that is complex configurations, and I've discussed it with you, which was in the application, but it complicated things. And but just to have a look at that, where that relationship is configured, is that boundary sand is under that GL code, boundary sand, and that's the dashboard item. Now, how this was done, how that was possible, in the configuration of the app, there's some definitions where I enable or disable pastel, and the pastel link and the dashboard GL codes, so that true and yes, and for the exercise I went through, this was true and yes. So there was no relationship for boundary other, as was seen here. Nothing configured, and hence that item was allocated to the boundary, that is the project code, and it then was allocated to the ready mix materials, which is wrong. That should have been that one, boundary sand, material sand. So yes, it is possible to configure all these things to link with one another, but it overcomplicates the interface, and especially on an Android phone, if you get stuck and something wasn't configured in the back, it would mean back and forth, as Chris has said, and I mentioned that in an email recently, 25th September, where all these configurations were actually in place, and they were decided, no, let's not overcomplicate things at this stage. Keep it simple. It's freehand, type ahead, drop downs, and it'll make life a lot easier. Just also get back to where this the intention of this was, where this whole app started, was this spreadsheet was kept by Mel and emailed back and forth between Mel and Chris, and everything's freehand here. GL codes and the project code and the supplier, and then purchase orders generate the pastel, and that is manually captured here. and this is working. This is supplied by Mel, and this is what Mel and Chris uses at the moment. The description field, this is what we now have as a material field, which came in much later. I've got a version 3 document here that describes that in more detail, but this is all freehand, so there's no there was no materials captured here, and it's irrelevant actually, the materials itself. It's not it doesn't appear in pastel, neither appears in the dashboard. So this is basically so the whole point of this order is then to export that to the and there's a functionality to do that, and this is a similar in the relationship to this. So yes, there's lots of automatic linking that can be done between these things, but if it's confusing because you allocate bricks to sand and boundary, and you have a unit to link to that, but those are complex configurations, and it does overcomplicate the whole system. So freehand drop downs is currently in the system I will demonstrate just now.